All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. Just trying to make sure we got everyone here in our webinar. My name is Jessica. I am the software training lead here at EZFacility. And as I said, I just want to welcome everyone. We're very excited to announce this release that we're going to be putting out on June 22nd. We've listened to a lot of your feedback, and we're trying to make sure that we do release something for you guys that'll make your day-to-day even better. So right now, I do want to let you know we have a representative from our product team and our business analysis team. They're going to answer any questions throughout the session. They're going to gather any kind of feedback that you guys put in there and provide any kind of additional insights as needed throughout the duration of the webinar. Over the next 45 to 50 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through a completely refreshed scheduling experience on the new UI. As we go, please drop any of your questions in the Q&A box. That's where our team will be in order to answer any kind of questions. At the end, we are going to go ahead and have a Q&A, kind of a live Q&A, if you will, where you guys will be able to go ahead and ask your questions, and we'll be able to answer them, some of those bigger ones. Now, before we get started, why did scheduling change? So let me go ahead and kind of address that. So scheduling is the heart of your day-to-day operations with EZFacility. It's where you and your team probably spend the most time anywhere else in the software. So we set out to update it. Our goal wasn't just to make it look nicer, it was to make it faster to work in, easier to navigate, and more flexible for how facilities like all of yours operate. So what you're going to see today is the next evolution, a familiar tool that's been rethought to save you clicks, make sure you're getting the new tools that you're asking for. Now, just a quick note that I want to bring up before we get started. Everything that I'm bringing up is going to live in the new UI. So if your account is still on Classic, just hang with me. We will tell you how you can switch over to the new UI if you're interested, and we can help you facilitate getting that switch there at the end. All right, so let's go ahead and hop in and get started. So first things first, I want to show you the new schedule. So here it is. This is your current landing page for the new schedule. We're calling this particular view the resource view. As we scroll down here, we can see this particular demo account has a whole lot of resources, but a lot of this is still familiar. You still have all of your resources on the left-hand side. You're still going to be able to click in here at a particular time in order to put a rental or a session on the calendar here. Up at the top, you can see we on each of the resource groups, that's what schedule groups now became. You'll see those timestamps in there to make it a little bit easier to follow as you go down. Now, the other view that we're also going to take a look at is going to be the day view. This is where you can see more of a kind of agenda view, similar to self-service, where you could see a list out of those, individual times as to what you have on. You're going to be able to book a particular client into these directly through these individual buttons here. Now we have two other views that'll be coming out as well. So let me flip over to another screen here. This is our new week view, where you're going to be able to see all of the days of the week, Saturday through Sunday, all on the same screen. There's no more having to scroll over to the side in order to see those days of the week. You could see them all straight in a column here. We could see these darker colors letting us know, hey, that's maybe before your business hours, which is why it's showing up there. But you can scroll up and down in order to see all of those times. The other thing to show you is our new month view. You guys asked for an actual traditional calendar view, and we listened. So here you can see an example of what that calendar will look like. Now, you might not be able to see all the reservations if you have a lot going on a particular day. However, you can see that it does have a 5+ on this one, letting you know that there's more than just what you're seeing on here. So no more having to run a report in order to see a calendar view. Now you're going to be able to see a traditional calendar view. As a reminder, as we're going through each of these sections, any questions that you guys have, if you can go ahead and put them in the Q&A. If you're having any trouble finding that Q&A on my screen, I know it's kind of in a more button and then I have to click Q&A. Please make sure you direct your questions over there. That way our team could go ahead and answer them. All right, so now we also want to go back over here. We do have some admin settings that are changing just a little bit that we want to go ahead and bring up to you. So starting out, we're going to go ahead and click on administration. And we can see by looking down here, we have resources and we have rentals. These were originally sitting under location settings, which to some people really didn't seem to make sense. They wanted to know why wasn't it in an administrative menu? So now it is. Now it's right there for you guys to be able to find it. Let's take a quick look at resources directly. So starting out, I kind of already mentioned in here, resource groups is what used to be called schedule groups. These are those headers of those resources, so that way you're going to be able to go ahead and organize all of your resources. Nothing will actually be scheduled on these resource groups at all. All of the scheduling will be done on the venues or the instructors themselves. Now let's take a look at venues. We have a brand new feature here in venues that I'm very excited to talk to you about. That is going to be sub-venues. So if I open up my full turf here and I click over here to sub-venues, we could see that I am now able to break that venue down into individual parts. So if I want to sit here and say, I want to charge this much for my full field, and I need to be able to put in rental rates and types for my quarters of those fields, there you go. You can do it right here. All you need to do is click create sub-venue, and then you put in each of those individual venues. So no more having to manually figure out how you're going to do this. This software now has logic in it where if somebody rents turf field 1, it'll block off the full turf as well. The next thing to show you in instructors, if we open up our instructor here, we still have those commission sections in here. They are all still the same, but I just did want to highlight that we do have those commissions over in this section. Great, so now we've gone through resources. We've talked about what's new here in resources. Now I want to introduce one more brand new feature that I'm really excited about. That is going to be buffer times. So no more do you have to say, okay, if I need a prep time or I need a cleanup time, I have to manually put in a block before a rental and after a rental. So let's go take a look at those. So if we go to rentals and we go to rental types, we can create a rental type at the top. You'll just simply name that rental. Now, your access here is also something that's changing. So you're going to be able to either do it as an admin where it's not available on self-service, or you could choose to self-book access here, which is going to allow you to go ahead and have this on self-service as well as utilizing it on the admin side. But what we're really interested in down here is those buffer times. As we can see here, you're going to be able to put in some of the buffer times from 5 minutes all the way down to 1 hour. So you can put in all of that time that you need in order to go ahead and get the space ready for that birthday party. Or maybe you need a trainer that needs 15 minutes in between each of his sessions. You can go ahead and make sure that those buffer times are here. Now, not only are they available on rentals in here, they are also available on reservation types. So let's take a look. We'll go to packages, we'll go to reservation types, just opening one of the ones that we have in here. We could see here that we can also add buffer times on sessions. This is going to be a great feature. It's been a very highly asked for feature. This is also going to help some of you who are, hockey rinks that maybe you need to go ahead and put in a buffer time for a Zamboni to come through between a rental or between games. You're going to be able to go ahead and put that buffer time in here to make sure that you're going to be able to clean that ice in between. All right, now we're going to flip back to rentals one more time. We've got something else to show you. We have peak and off-peak pricing now. This again has been something commonly asked for from a lot of our clients. They say, hey, I want to charge a certain price at a certain time of day because, my facility gets really busy at this time, so they need to be able to charge more. So let's take a look at that. Going back to rentals, we're going to go into rental rates this time. Once we do, I'm going to go ahead and open my member field rental here right at the top. We would just name our rental. There is a description, but this description is only for internal use. The description is not going to be showing up to clients anywhere, but we'll go ahead next to pricing. In here, directly in the same rate, you are now going to be able to have member pricing and non-member pricing. No more having to say, okay, let me create two different rental rates in order to say this one's for members, this one's for non-members. You do it all on the same rate this time. But let's say you have a specific type of membership or, those peak and off-peak times. We can go to the create a rate and we have rules in here now. So we have those time ranges in order to do the, time of day, where you could say you're charging this much during off-peak hours, this much during on-peak hours, your date ranges, so for seasons, holidays, anything along those lines. Days of the week where you're wanting to say, hey, maybe Saturday and Sunday, we're going to charge more versus Monday through Friday. And then again, with those membership types, if you have a specific membership type that needs to have a custom rule, you could go ahead and do that in here. The other thing in here is the create discounts. So creating the rate will just change the rate itself in order to abide by any of those rules that you are including in here. If you create a discount instead, that's going to show in the discount section and let you know, hey, this is how much of a discount that you're receiving. So I do just want to, kind of let everyone know again, because we had some people join us a little bit later. Everything that I'm showing is only going to be available on the new UI version of our schedule. However, we are going to show you here at the end of the webinar how you can get in touch with account managers in order to switch over to the new UI if you wanted to go ahead and use all of these new features. As of right now, none of these features are going to be available to the classic users. And then all of this is recorded. Thank you, Miranda, for putting that in the chat here. All of this is recorded. We will get this posted within 48 hours of the webinar being completed. And you'll all go ahead and get an email from us thanking you for attending the webinar, where it'll also include a link in there. Awesome. So we've talked about adding in those custom rates. We've talked about going ahead and adding in those buffer times. We need to take a look at the schedule. How does scheduling look different today? So let's take a look. As we can see right away, we do have quite a bit of things on the schedule here. Now, I do want to show you something else that we've changed, which is your hover details. So if we hover over a particular session or rental, we're going to be able to see the date, the time, where is that rental taking place? Where is that session taking place? We could see who is booked into it. We could see if there's any more spots available, and then we could see if somebody owes an outstanding balance. Now, for those of you that have used the software for a long time, maybe you noticed I'm kind of showing you the hover details by being able to move my mouse around directly on those hover details. Again, that was a big ask from our clients. They wanted to be able to go ahead and be able to move around on those screens. We also have 3 new buttons on those hover details. The first one is Open Clients. We want to see who's booked in there, maybe in more detail. We could go ahead and click Open Clients. It'll go ahead and show just those clients who have registered. Book a client is going to take you to the registration page where you can book a client directly into this session without having to first click on it. It'll take you right in there. Open reservation details is going to show you this specific reservation. It's going to show you all the information about when was this scheduled and all of that. Now, I do want to show you, so we did see this person owes an outstanding balance, but if we hover over here, we see this particular client paid in full. So you're going to be able to see in here whenever someone is paid in full. Now, both instances, both people were listed as scheduled. Let's take a look at what happens when we mark the attendance. So I'm going to go ahead and click Open Clients. We could see our registered clients screen now. We could also go ahead and see where it says scheduled. All those attendance statuses are still there. None of this has changed. So you'll go ahead and you'll mark them as attended. If we now close this out and we hover over it again, we see they've paid, they've booked, meaning attendance has been marked. From here, I'd like to show you how to put your own sessions or own rentals on the calendar in here. So there's two ways now to add a reservation to the calendar. First way, same old way, you could just click on the time of when you want that session to actually be on there. The other option up in the upper right-hand side, it says add reservation. If you click the little arrow next to it, we could click the drop down, it says add session, or it says add rental. Either or way, it'll take you into the appropriate section. So we'll go ahead and say add session. Now, you still can book a venue and a trainer at the same time. So if you want to go ahead and say, all right, John Smith needs to teach a lesson on Cage 3, you can do that. So let's go through an example. So we're going to go to the venue. We're going to say, they need to teach a lesson on Cage 3. Under the instructor, you could choose that particular instructor's name. Let's go with our John Smith here. Under the reservation type, if we click in that drop down, we could take a look at all of the reservation types that we have in here. And all of this is going to transfer over from your other version in there. So you're still going to have all of your reservation types. You're not going to be missing any when this does go live on June 22nd. You're going to be able to find all of your reservation types in here. We'll go ahead and say maybe this is a group training. We could change the class size still. We could change the start and end times if we needed to. But let's say this particular one, we need to go ahead and put in a buffer time. We can uncheck the use location default, and we can put in those buffer times in here if we needed to. From there, we have reoccurring. So reoccurring is something where you have a session that's going to happen on the same time, same day of, over a period of time. Let's go ahead and switch this reoccurring to yes. Now, here's another change from the current version of the software. In order to get those days of the week, in order to say this is happening, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you now have to go down to custom, repeat every 1 week, and now you can check the boxes for Thursday and Saturday. From there, you have to end after a certain amount of sessions or a certain amount of occurrences. So let's go ahead and set this to maybe the end of the month here. Our split sessions is still available on this screen, where if you're doing back-to-back lessons over a period of time, you could go ahead and put in those split sessions. We're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to click Save. And now it created all of those occurrences on the calendar for us. So let's take a look. Here we can see that we have that group training with John Smith. It is both on Cage 3 and it is on John Smith's line. The dashes that are before that reservation are letting you know that there's a buffer time both before and after that particular reservation on the calendar. So that way it can't overlap. You can't book a rental right at the end there until you count for that buffer time in there. So that's how you'll do a session. Now, let's say that maybe we want to put a rental on the calendar. So I'm going to go down here to our turf field. I'm going to go ahead and click in, add a time for our turf field. We're going to go ahead and change session to rental. We don't necessarily need to include an instructor in this case, but if you wanted to block an instructor's line for this particular rental, you're more than welcome to choose that person as well. In the rental type, we can go ahead and choose what type of rental they want to do. We still have to choose the end time for rentals. You can still do a reoccurring, you could still put notes in here, and again, we do have those pre and post buffer times. From there, we're going to go ahead and click Select Client. Now we are on the screen where we can go ahead and charge the client. So let's go ahead and either search for their name or find them in this list. Once we do, oh, looks like we have one of our rentals rates kind of put in there, just a little bit different in here. We're going to go ahead and choose our test rate in here of $10 per hour. We could go ahead and click pay. Oh, we have to go ahead and choose an invoice option here. So this is another newer feature. This is where you're going to be able to choose before you get to the payment screen what invoice they would like to have. So you'll have the options for a reoccurring pattern of multiple invoices, single invoices. You can add it to an open invoice or even do a date-based invoice. So you do have the option of going ahead and still choosing those differences of invoices, but we'll go ahead and click Pay Now. We can see how much we need to charge. All of this is still the same. Nothing has really changed. We're going to go ahead and click Pay. Once we do, we could see that that rental is here on the calendar. We could see that it's blocking off that main full turf field so that nobody can book that turf field at that point in time, but they could book turf 1, 3, or 4. Let's see, once we go in here and look at the hover details, we can open those reservation details. We can go to billing. And we can see, the invoice in here. We can see who the client is. But here's another new feature. You can add another client to this rental if you need it to. So let's say maybe we needed to add Lily. Now we do have the option of either going ahead and not charging Lily for the rental in addition or charging her as well. So let's say maybe that she's going to be added in at no charge. Now we could see that we have James and Lily both marked in for that particular rental. Now there still isn't any kind of attendance on rentals. There doesn't need to be, but you do have the ability of going ahead and adding more people to a rental. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close this one out. We can see those rentals available now here on the calendar. And again, reoccurring patterns are also something that's available. Okay, I'm going to pause here because I know that we have a lot of questions happening in the Q&A as well as in the chat. So I definitely want to take a look through here and make sure that we're answering some of your questions. All right, so let me just take a quick look through the chat here. All right. Awesome. Okay, so some of the questions that were put in here were actually more of a feedback request. And so our product team and our business analysts are in here. They're writing those down. So if you guys have any kind of feedback requests, please continue to add them. You can filter the calendar view by reservation type and being able to see. So here we do have a search bar up at the top where we could go ahead and type in member field rental, and we could see that everything else from the calendar disappeared for the day, and the only thing that we're seeing is the member field rental. The other thing to show you over to the right is the color legend, where you have those custom colors in here, so that way you can clearly see on the calendar, hey, these are the different meanings of those colors. Are we able to filter based on location to view? So as far as the locations themselves, you are, if you have multiple locations, still going to be able to switch between each of the locations. And if you're on the new UI, both locations will have the new schedule, and then you'd be able to flip and back back and forth between those calendars just like you currently do. So there was a couple of questions in here about waivers. Definitely submit your feedback for waivers. Our team will take that down in order to make sure that you're going to be able to have those waivers, anything that you need. All right. Now, there is a question about special reservations. Special reservations will still be available on this version of the schedule. So you will be able to close down your facility for a holiday, marking that the field is not available, or, if somebody has maintenance going on, anything along those lines, you will still be able to put those blocks on there. All right, let me take a look at some of these newer ones that are just coming in. All right. So as far as this schedule goes, I did mention a couple of times you will have to be on the new UI in order to see any of the new features that we're putting in here. This would probably be a good time for right this second to pull over my slide here and to talk you through a little bit about next steps. So to start out with here, again, this is going to be released on June 22nd for all accounts that currently have new UI turned on or have new UI set as the default if you do also have Classic turned on. So this will be automatic. You won't have to do anything. It's going to happen on the 22nd. If you are a Classic user and you want to switch to the new schedule because you like all of the features that we have on here, we need you to go ahead and contact your account management team. So if you're a US client, you'll reach out to the am@EZFacility.com, or if you know your specific account manager's name, you're more than welcome to reach out to them directly as well. For any UK clients, you should reach out to Sean. His email address is also up here on the screen in order to let them know, hey, we want to switch over from Classic to new UI to have access to all of these features. If you need any other kind of technical support, you could contact our support team here, and both of their email addresses are here on the screen. So you will not be able to see any of these features until June 22nd because we haven't released it yet, but coming soon on Monday, you guys will be able to switch over and see that. Another feature that is in here is the sync to calendar. So we still have our sync to calendar up here where you're going to be able to go ahead and enable that sync just like you did in the past. And then the other thing in here, if you click on an individual reservation, you're going to be able to export it to a calendar as well. So you do still have both of those options available here. So the next question that I see in here, does the new UI change anything for the customer view? So there is a little change to the customer side, and that's really going to be in rentals, and that's going to be with our how we do that sub venues. So we have our cage rental here. Now we could see that it's giving us cages one. Oh, let me see if I can do that. Field rental. As we kind of go through these, we could see like it's offering just those venues here. So we could see it's just offering us cage 1, 2, 3, and 4 because our sub venues. Let me pull up one that has a sub venue in here. Let me log in. And this person's not a member, so they cannot see the field rental. Let's create a really quick example for our field rental here in order to go ahead and see what that's going to look like. So if we create a field rental option, and maybe this is the quarter field, and we can choose a color if we wanted to. We need to allow self-booking. Under those venues, we can go ahead and say, these are the turfs that they're going to be able to utilize. We would have to create a rental rate in here. So we'll go ahead and make this all clients. And we will save that rental type in here. Under rental rates, we can go ahead and click a really quick field rental non-members. We can put in that pricing if we need it to. And then we have our settings for self-service in here. And let's go ahead and save. And then under our rental type, we do need to reopen this one and connect that appropriate rental rate in here. Now, if we go over to rentals, we should be able to see that field rental option. Now, notice it's only showing us turf 1, 2, and 3. So those are the sub-venues. So that way they're going to be able to go ahead and choose from those sub-venues. Alternatively, if you did put it on the parent venue, they would be able to only see that full turf. It will block it all off. Otherwise, nothing else on the view is changing for clients as of right now. But if you have any feedback in there as far as what you would like to see on self-service, you're more than welcome to submit it in here in the chat. Or if you are in the new UI, down in the bottom right-hand side, it does say give feedback, and you can go ahead and put in your feedback here. All right, let me take a look and see what other questions we have. There is also in rental rates the ability to say in the the billing, you can now also require upfront deposits in here. So you could go ahead and say, maybe a partial amount is due upfront, and then you can charge them the remaining amount at the time of the booking if you needed to. Okay, so I did have somebody ask about going ahead and demonstrating how sub-venues work with booking. I might have covered that, but we can go through that one more time. So if we go here to our full turf, let's say we have someone that wants to go ahead and book in our full turf. We could go ahead and click in at that spot. We could see here in the drop-down menu that all of the turf is all chosen. We could go ahead and put in any of our reservation types. Let me change this to rental here. And let's say it's just a full field rental. Again, choosing that end time. And then we have to go through, select the appropriate client, choose any kind of rate if we needed to. I'm just going to go ahead and put this one in as no charge. Once we do, we could still see that that member field rental is blocked off up at the top here, and all of the turf is all chosen. So nobody's able to book any of those resources at this point in time. They're all blocked off for that one rental. So you can you edit reservations available for online booking to add buffers, or do they need to be deleted and rebooked? So you can modify the rental here, where you would be able to go ahead and change that buffer time in here. So if we go ahead and we save, we could see that there's now a buffer time in here. So the answer is yes, you'll be able to go ahead and add in that buffer time. Can the updated schedule recognize members and non-members? Yes, it does recognize both members and non-members automatically. So it'll first give you the member rate. If that person is a member, it'll offer you that one first. And then you do have the option of switching between the other rates that you have available as well. So the ability to book multiple courts at once on self-service can be a piece of feedback for our team. As far as being able to book rentals, multiple rentals here, you could kind of see from when I did this field rental that you can still do the multi-venue booking for rentals on this side. So for rentals, if you add multiple people to a rental, is there an option to split the payment between those people? You can bill them separately. So if the rental is originally $20, you can go ahead and charge each of them 10. That would probably be the easiest way of going ahead and doing that. All right, let's take a look. So I do see here it says the dollar sign in front of the client's name showing they have paid. Right now, it'll just be in those hover details showing you that they have an outstanding balance. So you will have to go ahead and hover over it. For those of you that have joined late, I do just want to go ahead and show the monthly view one more time. So this is what the monthly view looks like. If you hover over the details, it does give you the information about the particular session and where, it's taking place. And then under the week view, you could do the same thing. You could still hover over it in order to see those venues. So the next question is if you create a recurring session, every day is the way to bulk delete these sessions. So if we click on our reservation here and we go to linked, you can see right now it found 77 results. You would want to filter to the bottom, make sure that you change this to as wide as you can. You can select all of them. Where it says select action, you can click delete. This will remove all of that reoccurring pattern there from the calendar. This also applies to rentals. It was just easier to show you the sessions because that's what I had on the calendar reoccurring. Okay, so with admin only options, just want to clarify that only admins will see the venues that are able to be booked when a clients are on the self-service. So yes, so if you're saying in self-service, they can only see the available venues that you're linking to that particular rental type or session type. All right. Can we set exact start and end times for rentals? So you can't. I think you're referencing like in sessions where you can say the session length. You're not able to set that in here. You can still set the defaults to say 1 hour versus the maximum being 8 hours. As far as the facility hours are concerned, you're still able to say, okay, my facility's open 1 to 8 p.m. That's when they're able to go ahead and book those particular rentals. So if you are, so one of the questions was if you're a classic user, how do you know if you're a classic user? So for the most part, a lot of this software for new UI looks very similar to this. So if this is what your software currently looks like, obviously minus the schedule looking a little bit different. So if it looks like this, you're a new UI user. If it looks slightly different, then you're going to be a classic user. So let me go ahead and show you up here. This is what classic is going to look like. This would be classic. If you needed to go ahead and transfer over to the new UI, contact your account manager. From there, we would make it so that you would be able to have access to new UI. All right, let's take a look here. Still going through, there's a lot of questions in here. I'm so happy to be able to answer all of these questions for you guys. So if you don't want to use the sub-venue feature, can you still select multiple fields to book at the same time? The answer is yes. So within here, so like my baseball fields are here. If we go into the venues drop down, we could still see, I could still book all of the fields in here at the same time. Awesome. So the check-in stations are not going to be changing. So for that reason, it'll still mark the attendance when you use the check-in station, whether that's through point of sale or through the native check-in station here in EZFacility. So nothing is changing that. It will still mark that attendance. There is also a question about a number of resources per account still being the same. My recommendation is going to be to reach out to your account manager with that question. They'll be able to best assist you in knowing how many resources you have available to you if you need more, and they'll get started with those conversations with you. All right, so there is still drag and drop available on here. I did not put any Easy Leagues games on this particular schedule for today, but Easy League games are still going to be able to show on this version of the schedule as well. It'll act just the same as it does in the current version of the software. You'll still be able to see who's playing who at what time on what venue, so that way you don't have to flip back and forth. All right, let me take a look here. The recording, as I did say before, is going to be able to be available to you guys to have in an email. You'll also be able to find it on our events page, and we'll go ahead and make sure that we get it out to you guys within 48 hours. So nothing else in the software besides what I've shown today has changed. So as far as copying a group, there you can still copy a group here in the new UI, just like you can in Classic. You still do have access to that. I do see, Kathleen, that you're raising your hand. Unfortunately, there is not the ability to unmute in this webinar. So if you would like to ask your question, please make sure that you either put it in the chat or you go ahead and put it in the Q&A. All right. Groups does not yet currently connect to the schedule, but that is a great piece of feedback that we will go ahead and pass on to the team for them to go ahead and make sure that they are, being able to take a look into whether that is possible. All right. Looks like our team is doing a really great job in answering a lot of your questions. All right. So at this time, we've got about 15 minutes left, so I'm happy to continue to answer any kind of questions that you guys do have. I'm going to go ahead and pull this slide back up here. So how do you guys get ready for this change coming on Monday? So as I said, this schedule does go live on June 22nd for all accounts on the new UI. So simply it'll be there as soon as you log in for the day. From there, I would recommend before this change actually happens that you take a few minutes in order to review our knowledge base guides on the settings that we covered and letting your team know so that they're not surprised when they log in on Monday and it looks different. Those knowledge base guides are going to be sent to everyone that has registered for this webinar in our follow-up emails to you. Again, anyone on Classic, please go ahead and contact your account management so that way we can make sure that you guys get switched over to the new UI. All right, so let me just take a look one more time here before we end the call and see if there's any other questions that I can answer. And then you guys are also able to go ahead and contact support if we didn't get a chance to answer your question today. We do try to make sure that we reach out if we can't answer a question live and let you know that answer. If you have something very specific to your account, you're going to be able to go ahead and either contact your support team or contact the account manager for us to be able to, answer those very specific questions for your account. Now, everyone in the US is able to contact that AM at EZFacility.com. So that way you can reach all of your account managers. And then from there, it'll go to the correct one and they'll reach out to you. Any UK client could go ahead and reach out to Sean, and his email address is on here as well. All right. We still do have a lot of questions coming in. Let me just take a look for a moment. So I do see one in here. If we have courts, we want to rent half a court to two different people at the same time. Is there a way to do that? Through sub venues, you most certainly could. You could do, court one and then, have it split out into halves and be able to rent it to two different people. If it's people that know each other and you just want to throw them on the same rental, you could also do that. We did demonstrate that earlier. When you update the name of a session, does it change the whole series or do you have to do each session? You do have to do each session, but that is a great piece of feedback for our team. They'll go ahead and write it down in order to make sure to, include that as a piece of feedback there. So we've addressed the account manager. Do you need to be listed as an admin in order to make a reservation? When we rent rooms, tennis courts, pickleball courts that our admins don't need to be the ones to book, will this change? So that kind of depends upon your permissions in EZFacility. So if you are not a somebody who's able to make those reservations, it might be that you need to contact your maybe the owner of the company or the admin there and ask them to go ahead and take a look at your permissions. Drag and drop is something that is being worked on. It does currently allow you to go ahead and change it between different times or within the same resource group. Moving forward, when we're taking a look at it to be able to drag and drop it across other resource groups as well. As far as rules of allowing someone to not double book or book more for an hour, so the double booking, if you're meaning like across multiple resources, they can still do that, not more than an hour at a time. You can use your min and max to say somebody can only rent a minimum of 1 hour and a maximum of 1 hour. That's going to make it so that they can only block 1 hour at a time. Do we need to list it to make? So we've already covered that one. Can different staff members still use Classic View if they prefer, or do they need to switch to the new UI? It is going to be recommended that you go ahead and switch your entire facility over to the new UI in order to utilize this feature. You will not be able to, you can switch back to Classic, but all of the features are not going to be available. So your rental rates and rental types aren't going to have those different rules, and it just isn't going to operate the same. So our recommendation is going to be to switch your entire facility over to new UI. Contact for Canadian users would also be the am@ezfacility.com. So I apologize, I should have been more specific. Anyone in Canada or the United States will contact am@ezfacility.com. Will the new UI automatically be put on our system, or can we choose to keep the old one? As of today, you can still continue in the classic version of the software. You do not have to switch over to the new UI, but you will not have access to all of the features that was discussed here today. Can our facility go to the new UI version when all staff members are trained? Yes, you don't have to switch over before the 22nd or by the 22nd. You can choose to, work with your staff first, take a look at the materials that we'll provide you in the follow-up here to this webinar, and then you can choose to go ahead and switch over to the new UI when you feel it is best for your facility. We also do offer different training packages as well, where if you need our training team to go ahead and get you in for training in order to assist with the transition, we most certainly could talk about that with your account managers as well. Awesome. And there's some questions in here about getting double bookings. So the sub venues are going to help a little bit with some of those double bookings because not only does it block the sub venue, it also blocks off that parent venue. So in that case, nobody would be able to rent the full turf. They would only be able to rent, turf 1, 2, 3, and 4. So a lot of the sub venues are going to help some of those conflicts that are happening for some of our clients in here. Awesome. All right. Well, I want to say thank you again all for joining. At this point in time, we're going to go ahead and end the webinar here today. So to recap, we've got a refreshed interface. We've relocated some of those settings to more logical homes. We have those new buffer times. We have the new adding a rental and session flow and the flexible pricing options. So all of this goes live on June 22nd. And if you need to reach out to your account manager, you most certainly could go ahead and email them. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm very excited for everyone to be able to see everything that we have coming forward. And please feel free to continue to submit that feedback moving forward. Our team loves it. They love to be able to listen to what you said, and we listened for this schedule. We think that it's going to be a great product for you guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you again for joining.